Hey guys, this is Zach with Innovation Performance Technologies. We're here with the 87 Fox body. I know you've already seen our RPM Fox body. That thing is absolutely beautiful. It's a great show car, but we are going to do some follow-up series with this car where we kind of build it and get it looking prettier than what it is now. If you want to follow that, that should be coming up in the near future. You'll see a few episodes about it. We're going to upload it about once weekly. But today I'm here to talk to you about the top 10 things you should look for whenever you're buying a project car. The first one should be obviously get a car you like. If you like F-150s, Miatas, Mustangs, it doesn't matter. Get a car that you like. So me personally, I love the Fox body as it has a shorter wheelbase. It's relatively lightweight, and you can tune it to some pretty good numbers if you do everything right. Number two is get a popular build, obviously. If you want to get a one-of-one car, I'd love you for that. But at the same time, it's going to be insanely hard to find help for it. It's going to be pretty hard to find parts for it that actually fit. So make sure that you get a very popular build. This car was ran from 79 to 93. So a lot of them were sold. People love the Fox bodies. It's a great car to start on, honestly. Number three, you want to go for safety. You want to keep yourself safe and people around you safe. So whether you're racing or you're on public roads, you want to make sure that your brakes work, airbags work, all that good stuff. So number four, you want to make sure that there is an aftermarket part scene for the car. Like if, for example, I showed you my daily driver, which is a CX-5 Mazda. It has a 14-to-1 compression ratio with no turbo, and it has basically zero aftermarket parts for the car other than a air intake, which isn't a modification when it's the only thing you do to your car. So make sure that if you plan on turboing your project car, if you want to supercharge it, whatever you want to do to it, make sure that those parts are actually there and that you're not going to have to do some sketchy thing to get a turbo on there or an engine swap to get a turbo. Just make sure that the parts are there. And that leads into number five, which is make sure that the parts are available. As if you want to get a turbo for this car, but whenever you go and, try and buy one, the turbo, you can't order right now for, X, Y, and Z. Make sure that the parts are readily available for that car. And it leads into number six, which is also technically parts, and I'd recommend going with aftermarket parts, not OEM. It's brakes. Me personally, I go with the best stopping power for my pads and the biggest rotors that I can for my car, as it gives me peace of mind in my head. But it's not necessarily the saying bigger is better. It all really depends on what car you're driving and what you need for the brakes, but just make sure that you have brakes, that they're good, that they work, and that they're nice. And that leads into number seven, which is suspension. Trust me, you want good suspension, as I've been in cars that have bad suspension. You feel every bump in the road. It's not a pleasurable experience to drive them or ride in them. So for both public road use and track use, you want to make sure that you have good suspension, as it will make or break the car. I'm telling you this right now. Number eight, you want to make sure you have a modern driveline, as yes, carbureted engines are amazing. They're cool. They're fantastic, but they're insanely hard to work on. They're insanely hard to find parts on, and they can be very time intensive if you don't know what you're doing. So make sure that you either know what you're doing if you're going to get a carbureted engine, or I would just recommend you going with something that's a turnkey, because it's going to be, a lot harder unless you have somebody that has that knowledge. Number nine, set a realistic budget and a realistic timeline, as you don't want to have a 10-year timeline on a car because you're never going to get it complete, and you don't want to have a $200K budget on a project car that is going to take you 5 years, because if you're setting $200K out for this car, I don't even know what you do to it at that point unless it's some sort of show car. So just make sure that you have a realistic budget and a realistic timeline. Like for me with this car, I'd say a realistic budget is maybe 10 to 20,000, and a realistic timeline would be 1.5 to 2 years. I'd say that is a very realistic budget and timeline for this car. And number 10, you want to make memories. If you have a son or a daughter, or, if you are the son or the daughter, ask your dad to come help you work on this car, take your son out or take your daughter out and have them work on this car with you, as it can set memories. It can teach them a lot of valuable skills that they will use in life. And overall, it's just a good experience for everybody. And I believe firmly that you should make memories with anything that you do, especially with a project car, as they will remember that for the rest of their life. And that's been the 10 things that I would recommend for you to look for whenever you're buying a project car. Let's get out of here. Fuck! Fuck, I stalled! Okay, we're gonna do this again.